Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope that you all enjoyed, and I said you all, in your weekend. I hope I did. Jared, do you hope that you did too?
I hope that I enjoyed my weekend.
It was kind of a bumpy start to the weekend. On Thursday, Zachary, the shipping ogre, was completely and totally bummed because China from the D-Generation X, Joni Lowry.
Yeah.
Name was Joni.
Did you know that the artist formerly known as Prince was formerly alive?
Yeah. And then, so we came into work, and Zach opened up his computer, and he's like, "Oh, now I'm going to be sad all day," because he found out that China had died. And then...
Is that your favorite porn star?
No, that she wasn't a porn star. Oh, well, she kind of was, but not really.
Oh.
And
so
then...
you have a different favorite porn star?
No, I don't have any favorites. It's me.
Are you gay?
It's me. I'm my favorite.
Do your parents know you're gay?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
I'm trying to be serious, butthead.
Oh, okay.
And anyway, so then I was in the truck, and I heard that Prince had died. And people are like, well, first of all, in our world today, people like to attach themselves to events. And even if they didn't, let's face it, people there are millions of people this weekend and today that were Prince fans that probably didn't even know who he was or never heard any of his music 3 days ago, 5 days ago. People like to attach themselves to events because it gives them some sense of purpose. And that's one of the reasons that when people pass, when there are events, like for instance, when Chris Kyle was murdered, and all of a sudden, all the social media was just awash with all these dudes who are like, "Oh, rest in peace, Chris," and the Punisher, and you know, and I was like, where were you people like a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, or a month ago? You guys were like big Chris Kyle fans a month ago? And everybody was. That's why quite often I'm silent about things like that. I don't jump in because I don't want to be perceived as just one of these Johnny-come-latelys or one of these people who are trying to attach themselves to an event. But when Prince died, and I found out, it did affect me. It did affect me emotionally. And I thought about it, and I considered, it's not like I have a big Prince record collection. I never saw Prince in concert. I had the opportunity in the 80s, like 85 or so, but I didn't take advantage of it. What?
Speak louder.
Speak louder. I'm speaking into the microphone. So why would I be sad? It wasn't like we were friends. It wasn't like I saw him in concert. He was a musician who made music when I was growing up. And that actually is the reason and I believe that's the reason for my sense of loss. Not so much a sense of loss for the individual person. It wasn't like we were going to have lunch next week or something. It was a sense of loss that I had lost a part of my youth, not my childhood, because I wasn't a child. I was a teenager. And I actually did not like Prince with the 1999 album. Because the reason, being a 14, 15-year-old teenage boy full of testosterone, anything that distracted the teenage girl's attention away from me was my enemy. Huh. So if teenage girls were more interested in Michael Jackson or Prince than they were in me, then I didn't like them. Now, the music that I liked the Van Halen and AC/DC and so forth. The teenage girls, they weren't really into that. They could care less about Van Halen and AC/DC and what have you. But they were all totally goo gaga over Prince in 1982, 83, and so forth. And of course, I didn't get it. I was like, oh, whatever, I don't get it. And quite frankly, I thought that he was just another face. I thought he was just another front man. And it wasn't until I went to see the movie Purple Rain that I realized that he actually was a musician, that he was a very, very talented musician. Did you know that he played all the instruments on his first album?
No.
Yeah, he played all of the instruments. And not only was he a musician, he was also a very talented producer as well, and a very talented writer. The Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. There's a number of hit songs, number one songs, popular songs in the 80s and 90s and beyond that were written by Prince for other people. He wrote music for a lot of big names, and he actually helped a lot of artists to make it, to get their first album, to get noticed, and so forth. So the reason that I was saddened by the passing of Prince Rogers Nelson was because the fact that I remember being 16, 17 years old. I was probably 17, I was a senior, and putting on headphones and just laying on the floor in my room in the dark listening to the Purple Rain album. So I said goodbye to another piece of my youth this weekend.
That made me think when Dad and I were talking about it made me think that my generation and Zach, the shipping owner's generation, we don't have iconic people like that. Not in the music industry. Now we've got like Disturbed and Eminem. Those are the only two big.
Disturbed and Eminem. That's the first thing that came to your mind.
Yeah, those are the only two big. Like you guys had freaking Lenny Kravitz, Jimi Hendrix, Leonard Skinner, Metallica, and it's just we don't have people that are talented like that anymore. And why? Or maybe we do, and I just don't listen to like the radio, and iTunes is lying to me. I don't know.
iTunes would never lie to you. Yeah. But, well, and that's something that music has always been a big part of my life. And people say that all the time. They're like, everybody listens to music, but do you really listen to the music? Or is it just background noise? Or is it just a distraction? And that's kind of, this is my little outlet here when I get to sneak some music into Student of the Gun Radio.
Funny fact about Professor Paul for all you new listeners is that he was actually a high school DJ. Weren't you?
Yes,
I was a high school DJ.
Yeah, I was a high school DJ, and I spun the Purple Rain, the Prince music in the 1999. If you go back now, I was actually going to drop a piece of Prince music into the show, and I wasn't able to. You know why?
Why?
Because he and his record company have such a tight hold on his music. He was very, very adamant about keeping control over his stuff. Like YouTube, if you try and right now, there are people right now trying to put up copyrighted music from Prince on YouTube, and YouTube is shutting them down.
Yeah.
Like their computers are smoking. You see the smoke coming out of San Fernando Valley or whatever. That's all the YouTube computers smoking, shutting down.
That's funny.
I was browsing on YouTube and I saw there was somebody. I was looking for Purple Rain, and you can find the live version from the Super Bowl, and you can find his Arsenio Hall appearance. But everybody who tried to copy the movie and put it up as a YouTube video, there actually is one, and YouTube just cut the music out of it. So it's just a soundless video track. It's just the video with no sound. And then there's a little note on it. This is the contained copyrighted material in violation of your YouTube agreement and so forth. Yeah, they were really, really serious about about controlling his content. And that's cool. I mean, hey, he put all the time and effort and energy into it. Holy crap. When you play every instrument and record every instrument for an album yourself, I think you have the right to control that product. All right, this is Student of the Gun Radio, and we're going to go ahead and talk some gun stuff right now. Is it really 10:24?
Yeah.
10:25? 10:26?
We've got
10:27?
Oh, that's
not the clock. That's a show timer.
Oh, it is. Oh, it's 9:30 right now.
Thank you.
What?
What?
I was just looking for Prince on iTunes, and I can't even play his.
Nope. And you won't find it on Amazon Prime either.
How do you buy it?
You have to buy it from Jay-Z's Tidal streaming service.
Interesting.
You can't. He would not give Spotify the rights either. So, because that's why I tried to go to Amazon Prime and get it from there. Nope.
Wow.
There's commemorative stuff and best of or whatever. And everybody in the world has tried to do Purple Rain. You've had country music singers that try to do Purple Rain. You get these like reality singing TV show people that try and do it, but nobody can really do it. Let's talk about gun stuff. Let's talk about Brownells at Brownells.com. And when you go over to Brownells, you bounce on over there. You can pick up some ammo cans, pieces, parts, scopes, sights, you name it, stocks. Frog Lube. Get some Frog Lube Extreme. Put it on your guns. Now, if you don't buy your Frog Lube Extreme from them, well, you can go to any Frog Lube dealer or distributor. Go to froglube.com. I don't care where you go. You can just pick it up. And make sure that your Frog Lube in your sword, if it's a high-carbon steel sword, it needs some type of lubrication on it. Duracoat, because why? Because life's too short to have an ugly gun. That's right. It is. It absolutely is. Crossbreed holsters. I see that some of you grad program people are posting pictures of your new crossbreeds, your new Super Tuck Deluxe, also known as the Bruce Jenner Commemorative. Apparently, Bruce Jenner Zach was telling me that he wants to untuck now.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Zach wants to untuck?
No, the Bruce Jenner wants to untuck.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know Zach tucked.
No, he doesn't tuck. But Bruce Jenner does.
Oh,
He's a super tuck.
They make like special tape for
He's
that
a
now.
Super Tuck Deluxe, and that Bruce Jenner. All right, continuing on. Let's go ahead and hear from Alex for a second.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Hello, Professor Paul. This is Kevin from southeastern Minnesota. I'm wondering what advice or experience you could share related to firearm retention methods. I'm thinking of both software methods like the Lindell or the Hamilton methods, or hardware responses or hardware methods like the Serpa holsters. Thanks very much. Bye.
All right, let's take before I answer that question, Jared, remind him what he needs to do to get his stuff.
Email Alex. Kevin, I need you to email Alex, ALEX, at studentofthegun.com. Send her your name, mailing address, phone number, and email address typed in the body of the email, please. And she will get that forwarded over to SWAT Fuel so you can get your free bottle of 9mm plus P.
9mm plus P. And if you go to the Greenwich Mean Time and pull up the map of Minnesota, you can see the exact time that it is in Minnesota right now. And it's actually the exact same time in Minnesota as it is in Mississippi. So
What?
How about that?
What?
There you go. I was looking up southeastern
he's
Minnesota.
From Minnesota. I was confused.
Yeah, he's hello. Listen louder. So yeah, and I'm assuming that he's probably in morning dress right now. But in morning dress in Minnesota, the morning dress is purple. One of our fans actually wrote last night and said that he drove into Minneapolis, and it was just a wash in the color purple. Let's talk about retention. Number one, most people don't think a lot about it until they read an article about a police officer having their gun taken away from them. But some form of retention is obviously a good thing. What I would tell you is that it's kind of a twofold. Number one, it's your holster, and number two, it's your physicality or your skill level. There are different, he mentioned different styles or training techniques or what have you. It's not really all that complicated. It's more about being aware of your surroundings, who's coming around, and who do you allow to get it within touching or grabbing range of you.
If you guys watch Gun Talk, you'll see some stuff on their new show called Gun Venture.
Did we do that?
Remember? Yeah.
Holy
At the
cow,
range,
we
yeah.
did.
That was like
we did do
it
close.
Seems like it was forever ago.
Wow. Yeah. That's coming up in July. That's not going
Q3
to launch
or
till
Q4.
July.
He said.
Yeah, we talked about that very thing about letting people get into your space and what have you. Take some training. Take a class. I don't care what class you take. Take a class and then build from there. The first part of firearms retention is keeping people from touching your gun. And you say, well, Paul, I have to go out into public. I have to stand in line at Walmart. I have to do this and that. I say, I got that. Are people able to walk up right behind you and touch you without you knowing it? Yes or no? I'll give you a great example. You're standing in the line at the checkout line at your favorite store. And there's people in front of you and there's people behind you. And you say, well, I have to stand in the checkout line and I'm wearing my gun. And so somebody is within touching distance of my gun. Now, is your gun covered up? Do they know that it's there or don't they? And if you're a uniformed police officer, they probably can see it, right? And I played that game. I played the open game where I was carrying a gun for everyone to see. And then most often nowadays, I'm playing the concealed carry game where no one should be aware. They're like, oh, there's a bump under your T-shirt. So we're going to attack everyone that has a bump under their T-shirt. Okay. Jared, where were you? You were at a restaurant where some lady pointed at the bump under your T-shirt that was a cell phone.
It wasn't even under my T-shirt. It was just out in the open.
It was in like a phone carrier.
Yeah, and it was when
carrier.
It was when I had the Note 4 and the little belt clip holster.
Oh,
I guess that's what they call it, for a belt clip.
But did it have like a flap thing?
Yeah.
Oh. And she's like, you can't carry that in here.
I was like, one, even if it was a gun, yes, I can. So shut your face. And two, it's a phone.
It's like, wow, how weak do you have to be mentally to see a phone?
If I wanted to rob you, this would be pointed at you right now.
To see a phone and get scared because you think it might be a gun. But anyway, I say, so you're in the checkout line. Did you ever think of just turning your body so that instead of having your back directly to the people behind you, that your shoulders or your side profile is there? You know you guys are allowed to do that, right? Do you realize that you are allowed to stray from the crowd? You don't have to do everything just like the sheep do. Do things differently. When I'm standing, if I have to do that, if I'm in that situation, what I will do is I will turn my body sideways and I'll put my back to the candy rack or whatever. And you say, wow, I don't want to live like that, Paul. I don't want to live paranoid and crazy like you. Well, actually, I do that habitually, so it's not something that's strange or unusual to me. If I can't, I have long arms. I'm blessed with long arms. And what I will do is I can slip my right hand kind of loosely into my front pocket and pull my elbow to my side, and my elbow rests directly on top of my gun. I have physical contact with my arm and my gun without looking like I'm holding onto my gun. I'm actually blocking access to my gun. I've done that a lot. If I had to go into a crowd, if I was going into, because number one, I don't want to be bump frisked. I don't want someone to bump into me and say, oh, there's a hard object under that guy's shirt.
Did it bump into the front of you or the back of you?
Yeah. So I didn't say pants, I said shirt. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll stick my hand in my front pocket very loosely, and I'll pull my right elbow back against my side, and my elbow, my bent arm is covering. It's on top of my pistol. So if anybody bumps into me in the crowd, they're bumping into my arm, not into my pistol. Things like that are really super easy to do. You just have to think about it before you do it. If you're going to use a holster with a retention device, or if you're going to change holsters, that is the big thing. If you've had one holster forever and ever and ever, and then you get a new one, you need to reteach yourself how to do that holster. I've used the Serpa holsters. I've used the Safariland holsters with their method. I've used the standard. The old generic thumb brake holsters now look like antiques to me because, quite frankly, from a technological standpoint, they pretty much are antiques. But whatever equipment that you're going to use, at very least, your holster should be form-fitted to your gun, to your specific gun. That's one of the reasons that these one-size-fits-nothing holsters are just abysmal, because they don't have any type of friction retention at all. A lot of these junk holsters from the $10, $12, $15 junk holster from your local gun shop, if the snap comes unloose, that thing's going to fall out. That's just the way it is, because they fit nothing, and you really don't want that. I mean, at least you get like a Super Tuck, and they mold the gun. The holster's molded to that specific gun. I hope that answers your question, and thank you very much. If you guys, yes, you listening in the audience there, would like to participate and be the Warrior of the Week and get yourself a free bottle of SWAT Fuel 9mm plus P, well, you can do that by, why don't you tell them how they can do that, Jared? How can they do that?
Well, download the mobile app, the Student of the Gun mobile app, from the App Store, and you can get it on Google Play or iTunes. And if you need more information about that, you can just go to studentofthegun.com, click on the app tab. But if you want to become the Warrior of the Week, open up the mobile app, click on the Call Us tab, and then click the Warrior of the Week line, and Alex will prompt you with her lovely voice and tell you what to do. You leave your question there, clear and concise question, preferably less than 30 seconds. And then if we play it on the radio, then you win. You win.
You're famous.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Oh, thanks, Tiny Tim, for providing us with the Vagination Report music. That is a Vagination update theme, and we've got one for you today, so stand by. You might want to break out the duct tape because this might hurt your brain a little bit. Good coffee. The story's from Breitbart.com, but it's been shared all over the place. This is just our particular source for it. Professor withholding recommendation for female student who likes guns. What? And the story's by A.W.R. Hawkins, 19 April 2016. A professor writing under a pseudonym expressed her hesitancy April 18th to write a letter of recommendation for a female student who is pro-gun. Oh, my Lord. Can you believe that? That someone in college, a college student, would come out and say that they are pro-gun? Now, the original source for this, the source that I think the Blaze used and Breitbart used, is Chronicle.com. And the Chronicle, it's called the Chronicle of Higher Indoctrination. Oh, I'm sorry, Education. Indoctrination, education, same thing. And the title of the op-ed piece by this professor who uses a pseudonym, hey, Jared, when I write my articles and I express my opinions, do I hide behind a pen name?
No.
No, the answer is
yes.
No.
Professor Paul Markle.
Shut up, ass. No, I don't hide behind a nom de plume or a pen name because I'm not ashamed of my opinions. I'm not ashamed of what I write. But apparently, if you're going to be a leftist a-hole, it's better to, well, we don't want to let people know who exactly we are. Guns, pancakes, and ambiguity. A professor has second thoughts about writing a recommendation for a student gun enthusiast.
So underneath the picture, it says by Myrtle Lynn Payne.
Yeah, that's a pen name.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And the female professor begins like this. Since I started teaching 6 years ago, I've become more interested in gray areas. Maybe it's because dealing with students seems to highlight all the complex ways in which a simple plan can break down. I sometimes have fantasies about Professor Paul Markle. No. What?
You got me. I was like, where?
Oh, no.
What?
It says, I sometimes have fantasies about what it's like to be a teacher who's seen it all. Oh. The dude who came to the final exam inebriated. The student who offered sex for grade change. What would it be like to take all that in stride? A recent incident in my classroom has me thinking about the ways in which randomness of the universe is always sort of poking at us educators. Wow, this person is so enamored by themselves. Growing up in Virginia, I belonged to a family with guns. They were used for hunting and trap shooting. Well, okay, that's reasonable because that's what the Second Amendment, that's what liberty is about. Liberty is about trap shooting and hunting. I can't remember ever knowing where both the shotgun, a Browning over under, and the rounds, little red tubes with a shiny cupped copper bottoms, were stored. Well, your parents raised you wrong. They raised you like a slave, which is probably why you have a slave mentality today. But that's just me. They were in separate locations, as per standard gun safety practices. But eventually, they both disappeared. At some point, my mother let it be known that she had gotten rid of them. Uh-oh. So this professor, as she was growing up, she learned that it was the mother's responsibility to take the guns away from the father. My father, you see, suffered from terrible manic depressive episodes, and my mother had eventually heard enough about the risk of suicide that she instituted gun control in our household. Hey, Jared, riddle me this. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor for sure. I'm not an MD. But is there only one method on planet Earth of committing suicide, and that is with a firearm?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so didn't you know that?
If we eliminate all firearms from planet Earth, then suicides amongst humans will stop.
Yeah.
Right?
They'll definitely stop.
Oh, so the first suicide in recorded history was after the invention of gunpowder.
Well, no, but now people like
the inconvenient history stuff.
But now it's so easy to do it with a gun.
It's so easy.
Nobody kills himself with any other method.
Just with guns. Yeah. Well, so that's you guys notice how that and are we seeing this a lot lately? They're shifting tactics on us because they know that their gun control. Like, well, gun control reduces crime. Gun control reduces crime. It does. And then we're like, well, here is the Encyclopedia Britannica-sized research that shows that gun control does not reduce violent crime. Here you go there, leftists. And they're like, so our argument about gun control reduces crime has blown up in our face, and the peasants are hip to us, and they're not believing that anymore. So they get together and they're in academia, and they think, well, what other propaganda can we come up with to convince the peasants that it's okay to disarm them and that guns are bad? Oh, suicide! Yeah, have you noticed that is the latest tact? Pay attention, people. This crap doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it's not an accident. that's very, very scripted and deliberate. They've realized that their gun control reduces violent crime argument it doesn't really hold water anymore. And it hasn't for years, but the peasants are waking up to that fact. The peasants are calling them out on it, and they don't like that. So they've got a new tact, and that's we need more gun control to stop suicides. And, of course, the peasants right now are a bunch of mush-brained idiots. They're all addle-brained. They're like, well, if I don't agree with this gun control activist, then I don't care about people.
Yeah, I support suicide if I don't agree with
That's
this.
right. If you don't agree with greater restrictions and more gun control, you just want people to kill themselves. You're mean. You're a mean-spirited bigot xenophobe, and I don't like you. So, says, my father died of natural causes when I was in college, and I always kind of quiver in my heart when I think about what my mother did. I'm glad I didn't lose him to suicide. I'm glad that he hung on and suffered under my oppressive mother for decades. Oh, no, it doesn't say that. But going on, so that's her background. She was raised not to know where the guns were or how to use them. So she knows nothing about liberty. She thinks that guns are for recreation and sport. Okay. Sarah, in quotes, not her real name, was a very nice young woman who turned up in one of my classes a year or so ago. Her academic abilities were not strong, but she had great energy and was a class leader. Definitely a process and not a content type of gal. Okay. I did take special notice of her the first day because I thought she was hot. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't say that. During the sharing activity. I love this. I did take special notice of her on the first day during a sharing activity. Aw, it's like kindergarten. We're going to share stuff. We typically do at the beginning of my science lecture courses. Sarah shared that the most notable experience of her winter break was a visit to a gun range where she fired an AK-47. I gave the usual, very good, moving on response, but I was thinking, whoa, that's disturbing. When I was in college, we had this type of thing called the Santa Shoot. At the end of the semester, you could bring your old books and tests to the firing range and, quote, take out your frustrations. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology had a championship shooting team at that time in the late 90s, and the Santa Shoot was a great fundraiser. MIT had to stop it, though, because people were starting to bring pictures of their professors or their girlfriends, onto which they took out their frustrations. Like many things at MIT, it got a little weird and dark. Now it's a video game. I just checked, though. Now it's a video game. Okay. All right. So it goes on. So here's what happens. And I will give you the Reader's Digest first. We go in here to attack the NRA. We got an NRA attack in here because the NRA is responsible for all suicides in the world. You know that, right, Jared? You understand that? That there would be no suicide.
Yeah, we actually did a radio episode.
If it wasn't for the NRA is responsible. So Sarah comes to this chick and says, hey, Prof, will you write me a recommendation? And she's like, whoa, Sarah. I don't know. Here's a quote from there. It says, how can I say that I don't want to support students who are gun enthusiasts without getting put on some sort of a list? So the teacher here is afraid of getting on a list. You want a quote from the teacher here, Jared? It's gonna make your brain swell. It's so complicated. On one side are all of my ideas about supporting students, honoring their individuality and their journeys, creating a safe space for them and myself.
Did she just say safe space?
Holy sweet Buddha on a rubber raft. Not taking things out of context, not over-interpreting. On the other side are my memories of growing up in a situation where guns, people, and bullets had to be rigorously kept apart, lest they find each other in a tragic moment of instability.
So I literally cannot help this. I really, really have to play this now.
Everyone likes me and thinks I'm great in my safe space.
My safe space.
People don't judge me and haters don't hate in my safe space.
Your safe space.
Bulletproof windows, troll safe doors, nothing but kindness in here.
You might call me a pussy, but I won't hear you in my safe space.
If you do not like me, you are not allowed in my safe space.
Look and you will see there's a very select crowd in your safe space.
People that support me, mixed in with more people that support me and say nice things. Rainbows all around me. There is no shame in my safe space.
My safe space.
Bulletproof windows.
I am going to tear down your safe space. Brick by brick, I shall smash it with glee.
What? Who is that?
You cannot stop me from getting inside. I am cold and I am hard, and my name is reality.
Somebody stop him!
I'll take care of him, Jenny.
You can't ruin our lives, reality.
Our safe space will keep you out.
Locked, we can face almost anything.
But reality, we can do it out. Bulletproof windows.
Troll safe doors.
Couldn't help it.
All right. Matt and Trey of South Park are geniuses. Those two, they deserve every single penny that they make. Every single penny. For those of you guys that don't know, that was Eric Cartman singing Safe Space from an episode of South Park. And thank you to Matt and Trey for making that available for us. Here we go. It says, I got one more quote from this totally fantastic ninny. She seems like a good kid, Sarah, and I don't know what she thinks of gun advocacy and political failures that have cost us these lives and our sense of safety as educators. I don't know what she does on the weekends. I also don't know if she understands emotions or what real rage feels like. It seems to me that no person who has truly experienced the full impact of their own emotions would ever go near a gun. So what do I do? Do I write her a recommendation because I originally said yes? Or do I say no and explain myself? Do I ignore her email? Wow. I thought that college professors were supposed to be open-minded and accepting of all people. Now, if you decide that you are a gun enthusiast, let's say, and it goes on in the story to say how she overheard Sarah saying that she was going to get her concealed weapons permit. She probably tinkled in her panties a little bit when she heard that. College professors, is purchasing a gun a choice? Does a person make the choice? Well, yes, and they can make the choice not to. No one says that you have to get a gun. No one says that you have to shoot a gun. No one says that you have to be near a gun. That is a personal choice that you make for yourself. So, according to Professor Lunatic Vaginitis here, you can discriminate against someone because of the choices they've made. But really, can you do that? If someone decides that they're going to put on a fancy party dress, even though they have twigs and berries, and fornicate with a lamppost, can you discriminate against that person?
I love lamp.
If they love lamp, what if someone decides that they woke up, well, yesterday they were a man, or at least they looked between their legs and they had twigs and berries, and or a twig and berries. You know, I suppose you had two twigs, but hey, it's your own world.
Some people get lucky.
Yeah, some people. Yeah. They look down between their legs and are like, that looks like man equipment down there. But then a couple of days later, they woke up and decided, I no longer identify as a man. I'm going to go on and put on a sexy little black number, and I'm going to go pee in the women's room. Well, that's their choice. You can't criticize people's choices. They live their own lives. You have to support their choices, their individuality. But what do we see from the left? They don't support choice. They don't support individuality. They support the choices that they've deemed are correct for you. And if you stray away from that, beware. You will be singled out. You will be punished. You will be judged. The people that tell us, that look out and tell us, you can't judge someone because they're a 46-year-old man wearing a tutu trying to tinkle in the little girl's room. You can't judge them. You don't know them. But if someone makes the decision to take control of their own lives and to ensure their own personal safety and stability, we can definitely, absolutely judge them. Yes. Because they just don't know. They haven't experienced the full range of their own emotions. Brothers and sisters, your brains will hurt if you read this. You wanted to say something. I know it's right there. I see it in your eyes.
I was going to ask if you wanted to drop the ESPN commentator story.
Yeah, we've got a story about, we can go ahead and put it in tomorrow's notes because we're running up on time right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thought you'd appreciate the, and next time someone tells you about tolerance and about how you need to be more tolerant, the most intolerant, closed-minded, bigoted people on planet Earth are progressive liberals. Don't ever believe anything different. And we hope that you are able to find your own safe space.
For all of you guys that are new or have forgotten, you can find Student of the Gun. Where can you find Student of the Gun? I've had tons of questions about this.
StudentOftheGun.com?
Yep, StudentOftheGun.com. You can start there, sign up for the 7 training tips that could save your life. If you haven't already. If you have, then congratulations. You are in the middle of receiving those. You can get us on iTunes, Stitcher. You can get us on Google Play Podcasts now. We got StudentOftheGun.com. We got the mobile app, which you can find out more information about that on StudentOftheGun.com. We're on Roku. The TV show's on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, soon to be Apple TV. I just actually spoke with the developers yesterday.
Good.
So we're moving forward with that.
We're hoping by, knock wood, by NRA that we'll be on Apple TV too.
Yes. Now I've got 2 requests for you. And if this is confusing, if you can't handle 2 requests, then you probably shouldn't be listening anyway. First request is share this with one person. Share this episode with one person you think needs to hear it. All right? And the second request is go to either iTunes or your Google Play, whatever you're listening to this on, and leave a review of Student of the Gun Radio. We like to see, we base what we talk about off of our reviews.
All right.